morning.
Good morning.
And it is a good morning.
Yes,
Good morning.
Good morning.
Right on. And so, like, these tears aren't like sorrow tears, but just deep gratitude that we've had people in our lives that have touched us, whose fingerprints are evident, whose breath we breathe. We've had these individuals for, I was very lucky, I had my brother for 30 years. 30 years. Even if it were for just 4 years or a few moments, to know that that person, that being touched our lives so deeply that we get to carry them forever. And so, like, this week in particular, I've been, Lee and I have been having like a lot of powerful conversations, and one of the things that was said was like, there's something in you that's preventing you from connecting to people like you want to, that you could show up. What is that? And I was like, whatever, I'm a people person. I could talk to anybody and I could have a word for the people, and I'm like, what's going on? Let's talk about it. But it wasn't quite where it should be. And I thought about it, particularly with my relationship with my best friend Kirsten. She just graduated and got her Ph.D. I'm so proud of her on Mother's Day weekend. And I was thinking about it, like I hadn't been touching base with her as often as possible because, like, she's in Texas. I'm in Georgia, and my love language is touch, right? I need to see you, I need to feel you, I need to wrap up in you, to connect with you and the sort. And I was believing this myth of distance. I was believing this myth of distance. I started to dig a little bit further. If God is all there is, and we are one with God and one with Spirit, there cannot be distance. There is no separation, right? So she could be physically over in Texas and I'm here in Georgia, or excuse me, in D.C. See where my heart is. In D.C. But in the same breath that we share, God is. And so I thought about it further, and I said, where else have we believed that there is the myth of distance? And as I was growing up, Southern Baptist, there are a lot of things that I appreciate. There are a number of things I have to unpack, and one of those is that there's a separation between me and God. That God's over there. That I have to go work to feel the love of God, to be in communion. But in all actuality, God is all there is, and that is the truth. There's nothing that has happened to you or that you have done that will change that truth. God is all there is. God is love. So there is not a work to be done to be in that truth. Where's the work happening? Where is the practice and the becoming more mindful of knowing that God is all there is and that there is no separation between us? It's not the same kind of work that you do when, you and your loved one, your significant other's like, ooh, you get on my nerves when you do this, that, and the third. We're gonna have a schedule here. We're gonna figure out how to change this so our relationship can get better. It's not an issue of working on relationship to know that truth. It's a matter of realigning our minds and our consciousness with the knowing that there's no separation between us and God. That the very characteristics of God, the very breath of God surges and pulses through your body, through our very being. So if that is the case, then there is no separation between us or anyone else that we've experienced and we are connected to. Because even on a scientific level, most scientists believe and agree that there is no such thing as no thing, that there is energy, and energy took form, right? So if energy can take form, that means that energy then can be in form, and that form can then dissolve, but energy was not created or destroyed, it merely changes form. So understanding and knowing that means that the very breath that I breathe is the same breath that my brother is. His form changed, right? Spirit continually pulses forward to manifest this energy, and he shows up in a number of ways. One day, I was talking to one of my teammates at school, and I said something, and she was like, what are you talking about, dum-dum? I was like, where's our mind? Growing up here. I was like, wait a minute. And so we see those people that we're understanding their existence in a very different way. Right? But until we are actually aligned to know that God is all there is, that the very breath of God is timeless, endless, all encompassing, we can't rest in the truth that that person who we don't physically touch and see is actually here. So how do we get to that place of knowing? What are the steps? What do you do? Well, first, it's not a work of knowing. right? It's more of a practice of realignment. When we shift ourselves from saying that it's work, because I know for me, I connect work with toil, with struggle, with work, but realigning our practice for different people is going to look very different. Some folks need to sit down and meditate in Shanti and have your candles and your incense and sage and right on to the right on. For other people, it might just be having a walk in nature and seeing how the universe is so unique and so expressive in just the mere leaves. Or wrapping up in a good bass line when a harmony just wraps in your head just right and moves your heart just right. Or if you sit down and just all of these words just come out, or you create these images, maybe that's how you get aligned with self and truth, but it's what speaks to your spirit. What's calling you? What's calling you? You feel it when you get that effervescent feeling when you do it. If it's needle stitching or what is it called? Needle point. I was like, needle stitching point. Clearly, that's not what does worship. That might be yours, right? But it's in that sitting and that knowing that we start to realign and see that God is all there is. God is all there is. The very breath of God is my own breath. So there is no difference between me and my friends and my colleagues and the ones that I love and the ones that I've had to let go physically. It's in every breath. So when we get in those times where puffing and puffing, I don't know if anybody else has had an ugly cry over somebody. Our bodies are literally calling us to remember your breath. When you have that deep sigh, when you're in the trucks or something, I just miss, I long, and your body tells you to breathe. And know it. Come back to truth that God is all there is. You are the very breath of God. The form may have dissolved, but the energy goes on forever. It's right here. It's right here. Because if we're all of the same spiritual DNA, then that person literally lives within you. You're an extension of that life. Every time you mention their name, you're extending that life. You're bringing that life. You're evoking them in that moment in breath. So all that to say that God is all there is. When we shift and calibrate our lens, when we use our practice to realign ourselves with the truth, and we can rest in the truth, that we don't have to cry for the loss of anyone. Cry the tears of gratefulness that they have that impact on our lives, that we carry them with us, that we extend their own legacy, that they are our breath and our prayer, our very meditation. And we get to hold that truth wherever we are. So I love these candles. I love this light. And it's good to do this in remembrance of. But there's no remembrance of. It just is. It's us recalling those experiences, but that person is not gone. They just are. It's an amazing thing when we go from being us and these little vessels that have been contained, because what I feel like is that oftentimes, and I feel like this is true for my brother, he was like plutonium in a tea kettle. You can't handle that in that small vessel for so long, right? His energy couldn't be contained in that little box. And so when you look at the reverberations of those beings' lives, their energy, think about your mentor. How many people did your mentor open up and expand to a new consciousness? And that will extend forever. When we think about the young people who have been left behind by parents, but they literally carried the breath of their parent, their blood. There is no end. And so we get to luxuriate in the fact that, yeah, my brother is not here physically, but I can still hear him laughing and joning on a daily basis, talking about each other. Roasting each other. Yeah. Like I still hear him I see him giving dap to his boys. I still feel him. Right? I feel him in the baseline. Right? I see him in the art. I see him in myself. I see all of this. And that is God, and God is all there is. So in those times, all that to say, in those times that we go into those places where we just long to feel, to touch that person, breathe. Know that God is all there is. Breathe. And know that you share the very breath of life with that being. There is no beginning, there is no end, it just is. You get to hold that consciousness. And so it is.
So it is.